The truth about guitar tone for me is, after spending some time working with an instrument and working in music, everyone ends up with an idealized version of the tone that they want. And that's the tone that they imagine in their head. When they close their eyes and imagine themselves playing something that sounds awesome, they have like an innate tone. They don't always know how to get it out of their head and into the real world. But each of us has like a dream tone, and it's what we personally feel that our guitar should sound like to convey our individual musical message. So to get that out of your skull and into like moving actual air molecules so other people can hear it, that's a mixture of technique, it's how you hit the string, like how much of your personality you can put into the way you play each note, coupled with are you using the gear that you have in the right way? The first thing I say to anyone at a typical guitar clinic is, the best advice I can give someone looking for a new guitar to buy is not to tell them which guitar to buy. It's to say, take the guitar you already have and check that you know everything that it can do. Mess around with different playing techniques, mess around with different pickup combinations, different string gauges, different actions. Check that the truth isn't already there. And then when you go shopping, you know exactly what you're looking for. It's the difference between the way you sound and the way you want to sound. That doesn't lead to everyone buying this guitar. It would lead to me buying this guitar, because this helps me to get the closest to the tone that I personally hear in my head.
Where do you stand in that modular versus real amps?
Yes, I've sold my soul. I grew up using single channel valve amps, and here I am with this digital monstrosity. Why am I using a digital monstrosity when it flies in the face of all of my principles that I've acquired over decades? Because it gives me the freedom to do other things. I figured out that you can load the impulse response of a violin body into the speaker block in a fractal unit, and you can get
Is that Laney just for a sponsorship thing?
Soundman, could I trouble you to turn off the PA for a second? I have it here, not for sponsorship. I have it because I still want to feel like I have a real amp behind me. And that creates that feeling, and it inspires me, and it makes me play differently, hopefully better. To my ears, it sounds close enough. Does it sound cold and digital and awful to you, or does it sound sufficiently like an amp that you can stop worrying about the gear and just pay attention to the notes I'm playing? I think it's close enough. I don't feel that there's some digital barrier. I also got really into this during the pandemic. Does anyone remember the pandemic? Good times. Don't we all miss that? But one thing I found myself doing, for want of any other hobby, was just spending a lot of time reading the fractal manual and seeing what else I could do. And around the same time, Hans Zimmer called me and said, I'm doing the soundtrack for the film June. Can you make some weird noises? I got these weird instructions from him, like, can you sound like 1,000 bagpipe players marching home from the pub? Or can you sound like sand? There was one thing, I can't remember how he described it, but it led to me dialing in this sound. And the film is full of that, and no one goes, oh, great guitar playing. But I was able to expand my palette of different noises. So that was the one non-waste of life side of the pandemic for me. I got better at not sounding like a guitar player. And I enjoy that, because I try not to go through life being a guitar player. What I really want to be is a musician, which is, being a musician is a bigger country than just being a guitar player. I hear lots of music in my head. This is the only typewriter I can operate. So sometimes it brings us back to what does tone mean? Some of the tones I hear in my head are not tones that you're meant to make with a guitar, but why let that stop you?
Yes.
Case dismissed.
Some people say wood is not important, it's only the pickups.
As for the online bickering about wood, that's because the online world just rewards people for arguing about pointless shit. The truth is, obviously the wood makes a difference. And what these guys with their oscilloscopes are missing out on is, this is a structure. This is not a free-floating metal string and a free-floating pickup. Everything is attached to everything else. If wood didn't make a difference, then you wouldn't hear that. Sometimes you get 10 identical guitars and one of them has a dead spot. You hear it acoustically and you hear it through the amp. So ignore those people, they're a waste of your time. So that's enough about the wood debate, I hope.